Happy We the People Wednesday, everyone. This is going to be a spicy show. I have a hairline trigger today for BS. It's not working.
Well, you listen, it's righteous anger, Allie. I mean, and I think sometimes we talked about this earlier in the week. It builds and it builds and it builds, and even Trump's feeling the frustration. I think a lot of people are feeling the frustration. You at home are feeling the frustration. It's no different than when you're at the tip of that spear to report it, and you're getting all the intel, and you're like, oh, you want to throw. I mean, a chancla would not help. I don't want to throw a shoe. I want to throw something bigger, but I don't want.
You can throw me in there. I'm like a grenade.
Hey, we have a reaction video out on social media that says it's like when your bestie's like a time bomb. Yeah, we got each other's back. Thank you for joining us on Open Mic, guys, with Allie Leger and Michelle Posey. Make sure you're following us on social media as well as at Open Mic Ladies on all platforms, because as we go through the holidays and through the weekends, we want to make sure you guys keep up to date with all that's going on, and things are happening very, very quickly. Obviously not as quickly as we want, but there's been a lot of news breaking. So I hope you guys are buckled up. Allie, it is a heavy day. We are heavy with a lot of reporting, but we've got to try to get through it, make sure that you guys understand it, because the only way that we change it is by staying actively engaged. Right, Allie?
That part. All right, let's open the mic. Let's get started.
Let's go.
Taking back our freedom, back to where we started. We're wearing our red hat tonight. It takes more than just a feeling. Oh, better be believing, and America's gonna be home.
What do you do when they try to cancel you? MAGA Nation, we cancel proof. My red hat stays on. My red hat stays on. You know I love God, but in Trump I trust. November 5th, you gon' ride with us? Our red hat stays on. Our red hat stays on. It's the mayor of MAGAville, the RNC King. 2024, freedom gon' ring. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. I'm still fighting for each one of you. And keep your red hat on.
If you guys are following me on X right now, I literally just reposted Open Mic, and I said, this is going to be a good one because Allie had gangster rap with her pre-workout. So tread lightly, everyone, or don't come for me. It's fine. But make sure you do it out in public, in our comments, not in our comments, not in our DMs. Every time that happens, it's always throwing me off.
There's gremlins in the studio.
Gremlins in the studio. I can't.
Listen.
All right,
somebody lit.
Well, first of all, I want to make sure that everybody understands. You need to like, follow, share, and subscribe, right? Get this out as far as wide as you can. Go to X, like us, follow us. Same thing on all our social media platforms. Thank you guys so much for joining and watching us. All right, now
I've gotten a lot of updates just in the last 24 hours on the rapid way that we're growing, and it's exciting. There are people that are elected to office that have reached out that it was sitting in our inbox. I didn't know that it was there, but that are loving what we do, and so we're going to keep doing. There are those that don't like what we do, but they can.
And then we have the trolls and the people that are they like to anonymously watch so they can gather intel as if they're going to be able to use it against us later. Not like it's really going to matter, because we stand 10 toes down. Clip this. We stand 10 toes down on what we say and don't really care. So,
and if you think we're going to get elected to office and somehow magically change our opinion or the way we deliver it, you've got another thing coming. Well, somebody that we love that's done much the same, Allie, is Trump. He posted yesterday, you and I both messaged each other like, Dad's mad. Here's what happened. Trump posted this last night. My fellow Americans, this is very JFK-ish. He says, I will be giving an address to the nation tomorrow night, live from the White House at 9 p.m. Looking forward to seeing you there. It has been a great year for our country, and the best is yet to come, President Donald Trump. So he's doing this officially. It's not like he's just holding a presser somewhere on Air Force One or something. He's doing it from the Oval Office. So it's kind of exciting, but we're also kind of like,
holding on. We're bracing for impact. That's what's happening. Everyone is bracing for impact.
Yes.
There is a couple of rumors out there. Some people are thinking he's going to fully disclose that there are aliens in the skies.
Allie, after that Age of Disclosure we watched, I'm
I
telling
know.
you, I was like spotting all the things.
It might be like one of those sprinkle bomb things that he like puts in and then like just drops the mic and dips out. But I think largely this press conference or address to the nation is going to be about his success over the last 11 months.
And I wonder if any of it's going to hit on what's happening in Venezuela.
I might.
People. So, and I was talking to some people this morning that we know early this morning about my concern with. I think we're going to get into it. Yes, we're going to get into it. My concern, or our concern, as open mic ladies, is that I don't feel like anybody is really explaining to the American people what is happening in Venezuela with this blockade, this armada, that's happening, because the left, and I'm talking like the woke extreme left, the ones that just wanted to let people across our border, the ones that are, want to think it's a good idea that we bring, people from the Taliban into our country after out of Afghanistan. They are really painting this as an overreach by the president, as an act of war, as all of these things. And I'm looking for the voice that is really explaining to the American people what is going on down there and why is this America first? Why is it our vested interest? I'm going to try to piece that together for you today, but largely it's not happening. However, when you
we might have somebody on deck that will be able to explain it, or at least explain it to us where we can explain it to y'all. So.
Yes. Well, John Fetterman, obviously, he is the Democrat senator. When he breaks ranks with the Democrats to say he understands why we have basically a blockade around Venezuela for imports and exports of oil, he understands it. Let's take a listen, then we'll talk about it.
Here and said it's not just about drugs, it's about oil. And they are the whole regime, the whole country is a foreign terror organization, a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going in and out until they return what they stole from us. What did they steal, and what do you make of this?
Yeah, well, what makes it that Iran is involved on that, and Russia's involved on that, and China as well, too. I mean, a lot of those things, that's sanctioned oil right now, and those are the kinds of funds that support regions like in Iran as well, too. And now, absolutely, right now, it's not a plan to like a land war and invade Venezuela and that, but seizing those kinds of oil tankers, and it's undeniable that that's oil that's going to support Iran, and those are the kinds of funds that are used, all kinds of illicit things, like terrorism. So for me, it makes a lot of sense, at least by what I've seen.
Senator, why?
Okay, so he's not going to get a lot of love from the Democrat Party for saying that. He's very quick to say this isn't a ground invasion into Venezuela. That's not what this is. I want you guys to take a look, before Allie and I talk about it, at what Trump posted. Let's just take a look at what the commander-in-chief is saying about this. He says, I ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. He goes on to say, let me see if I can just fast forward here to where he says it. The illegal aliens and criminals that the Maduro regime has sent into the United States during the weak and inept Biden administration are being returned to Venezuela at a rapid pace. America will not allow criminals, terrorists, or other countries to rob, threaten, or harm our nation, and likewise will not allow a hostile regime to take our oil, land, or any other asset. This is the father coming home to the house and saying, we're putting up a fence, and
we're not doing
you're not
this.
pillaging.
Right. And I kind of almost think this is a way for them to get around the tariffs that have been placed on them as well. Like these three different countries, like you have China, you have Russia, and you have Iran, that are circumventing a way to get oil from Venezuela, who is essentially participating in, like an act of terrorism by sending criminals and drugs that will essentially kill Americans to America. So it's like these three countries are helping Venezuela get things done in a way that it will harm America. And something's got to be done about that, whether you like it or not. It is what it is.
Allie, you are so politically inept because you've been around this for a long time. that even without fully, I mean, we're not in the Navy, right? We don't understand. We're not in those rooms with those conversations. For you to be able to, that's what your gut is telling you, right? That somehow these three countries, China, Russia, and Iran, are not in our best interest to have them, involved in Venezuela, these imports, exports that are largely enriching Venezuela, vice versa, and then being used to funnel money into terror organizations that do not like us. And I love that that was your gut instinct. We have, Allie and I have worked very closely with people from the first Trump administration, obviously General Michael Flynn and Patrick Byrne, lots of others who know far more. We're actually trying to get Patrick Byrne on the show. Patrick, return my call. But I did find this is the only network that I could find that had anything close to decent reporting on what Venezuela's tie is to the 2020 election, to Smartmatic, to the overthrowing of regimes, which would lead to stealing land. Think about it. If you've got foreign interests involved in stealing our elections, they are trying to hold a big, major global coup to take over our land. And that's what, when he said that, I was like, wait, nobody's coming in and stealing our land. But wait, they do when when they use these machines to overthrow elections. This is a very long video. We're only going to play a portion of it. Listen to Patrick Byrne on Lindell TV, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, these people overthrew the United States. It's the worst attack on the United States in history by a long shot. It was almost completely successful. And they can't, in my view, I would be deeply disappointed in President Trump. I would have been if he'd let them buy their way out of that with a nice deal for the U.S. on some gold fields or donors or something. So it's good that I get this, he senses, I sense he feels the same way. What they did to us is so extraordinary. Something has to be done that for 250 years, when people think about doing something like this to the United States again, they remember what happened to Venezuela. This is insane that Rick Grinnell is trying to patch this over and has been trying to patch this over and smooth it out. Oh, but the U.S. will get such and such oil fields. You're kidding me. This is 1,000 times worse than Pearl Harbor. They don't get out of it by giving us some drilling rights. Secondly, I have to say I'm very pleased with Marco Rubio. I was concerned about Rubio. I liked Rubio when he emerged years ago, and I always thought he was smart. But Rubio had in his background some people who actually are linked to the cartel. David Rivera, his college roommate's in prison now for washing money for the cartel. So I worried that he might be soft. I was completely wrong, since he has really laid to rest any doubts I had about him. He's been hard like a nail on we got to do what's right about these guys. And by the way, what the world's going to find out is Venezuela is the cancer. Venezuela is the cancer of Latin America, and all kinds of lefties and centrists that the world knows about, men of the people, the Kirchners in Argentina, the Peronists, they took $700 million from the cartel. The Danny Noriega and Danny Ortega in Nicaragua, he took like $350 million from the cartel. So these men of the people are out there, are leading their people into immiseration and oppression, while they themselves are getting fat off these bribes from the cartel.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And he's the only one talking about it. So my plea this morning on the phone call that I was on is, Allie and I can tell this. We can get this. Help us. Like, we need to have a one-on-one with that wonderful man, Patrick Byrne. This is what he also posted, Allie. This is what whistleblowers and intel veterans have told him privately for months. 2020 was a foreign-backed operation, the election, and Venezuela was central to it. Cartel money, hundreds of millions, flipped assets across multiple countries. Smartmatic, Soros-funded NGOs, and compromised intel officials formed the pipeline. The CIA and insiders taking bribes and blocking intelligence from reaching Trump. It happened, guys. It happened. This was bigger than China alone. Venezuela, Cuba, and allied networks were the engine. And here's what should terrify every American. They almost got away with it.
What are we going to do about it? Well, now that we understand what the problem is, and we understand what happened and what occurred, what is going to be done about it? Are we going to have more hearings and more evidence presented to Congress, or are people actually going to get arrested and held accountable for this?
which is why we keep hearing that in the next couple months, there's a lot of intel coming out about the 2020 election. Here's what I want to remind everybody. We spoke, Allie, I don't know, it was maybe last month a bit, about the Monroe Doctrine. Because Trump came out and kind of made like a Trump doctrine. It's basically the Monroe Doctrine reinstated. Many people felt that the Monroe Doctrine was kind of non-existent after the Cold War era kind of ramped down. We know we're friends with everybody across the globe, right? Kumbaya. Nobody ever seeks to see the demise of America. The Monroe Doctrine, you guys, before you tell me this is politically divided and along political lines, I did a little bit of research on my way here. James Monroe, President of the United States, former president, right? Decided to have the Monroe Doctrine. He was a part of the Democrat-Republican Party. That's what it used to be called, which later became the Democrat Party. So guess what? Technically, he would be viewed as a Democrat. And he comes up with the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine really states that we cannot have further colonization and infiltration from the European countries in the Western Hemisphere. If you think about this, Allie, when we left King George III and decided to have what we celebrate every 4th of July, right, our independence, King George III didn't stop sending people over here to try to reclaim this land. I mean, that's why the Redcoats were here on this land. That's why we fought for our independence on this land.
Right.
At some point, our early presidents understood, okay, stop it. You're not colonizing over here in the Western Hemisphere. Venezuela is a part of that. So when you see, this is just me, I'm not sure, I could be off my rocker. Some people will agree. I'm thinking, when you think about Iran, you think about China, and you think about Russia coming from the other side of the world and using Venezuela through the money they're getting through these oil tankers.
Right.
That's a violation of the Monroe Doctrine. They've now colonized largely Venezuela. I think parts of Cuba. I think parts of Brazil. And I think this is the America First policy that you're seeing in action. I bet it's got a tie to the Monroe Doctrine.
100%. I think you're hitting the nail on something. I think you're really close. If not,
I'm not suicidal,
above
just for the record.
Right. If you're not hovering above target, I agree with you. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say about that. But I agree. I agree. You know, and we sit here. This is what I was going to say. And the left wants you to think that Russia is the big bad bully who's trying to, conquer all of the East. That's not what's happening. We have a concerted effort of several countries that all have one thing in common. They want to see the free, sovereign country of America completely under control. They want to see us completely obliterated because we are the only place that allows their citizens to be armed, right? Because we have a God-given right to defend ourselves. Yes. And we are not controlled by our government. We have free people that if you are willing to actually think for yourself, doesn't matter if you are left or right or in the middle. If you are able to actually think for yourself, you understand the game and you know how to play it and you know how to apply your political pressure at the appropriate political pressure points and you do not give up, that is what terrifies the other side because they want complete control. And we're not doing that here in America.
It's so true. And guys, when we think about what it was like coming up through the Cold War era, we feared Russia. We feared the USSR as far and Nazis and communism. We didn't want that infiltrating into our country. We were on heightened alert. And then, you had the assassination of JFK and, after the Bay of Pigs incident, and then largely it kind of wasn't talked about anymore. And now we know through documents that have been released, Allie, that, part of why JFK was assassinated, and the CIA absolutely had a hand in it, was because they did not like him stiff-arming the reach of the other side of the globe on the Western Hemisphere.
And he wanted to protect he wanted to expose it all. Yeah. In one of his last, I believe, press conferences, he said that there was an attack for the women and children and the minds of Americans, and I'm going to expose it, is what he said. And what happened? He was shot several times in broad daylight. That's how they silence the dissenters, are the ones that want to stand up and get out of the way.
Yeah, by an assassin who spent a lot of time in communist Cuba learning guerrilla warfare. So just going to say, and the CIA knew all about it.
So that's their own program. The program was developed here.
And that's
with Nazis that we decided to take on in order for us to build the atomic bomb. Like, I like, really? And then you think about South America and you think about what they're doing. They actually used to house and host Nazis that fled from the war when they were getting their ass kicked.
When you look, Allie, at where a lot of Hitler's people went after World War II, Latin America,
Argentina, and Venezuela.
Yeah. There's whole towns
and Spain
built as sanctuaries to Hitler. Anyway. But it's important that this is why we talk about it. When you hear today all throughout the news networks, and I'm sorry, Fox News doesn't get it either. Fox News does not get it. And shame on you, Hannity, because I know you've got reach into the Trump administration. Shame on you, Jesse Waters, because you usually dial this down to something that's malleable to the American people. Nobody is talking about really what's happening aside from the fact that we're blocking oil coming in and out of Venezuela. No, it's a deeper, they've got to touch on the part of what Smartmatic did during the 2020 election, the role that Venezuela plays, the fact that there are whistleblowers now coming out and talking about it. They could get ahead of the story, they really could, but for some reason they're not. So we'll do your job for you. But I need the American people to I need the American people to understand this, because you're going to see it throughout the news cycle today. And it's going to largely be a lot of fear-mongering and warmongering that somehow Trump is about to invade Venezuela, or that this is an overreach, this is a totalitarian. It's not. It is America First policy, guys. They're going to expose what happened in 2020.
Yep. And I feel like we need a Pete Hegseth back on the news channels again.
Well, I just like when Pete Hegseth takes to the podium anywhere. It's just, and I'm just going to say,
I love it.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna lock it down. Is what I'm gonna do.
I love it.
I'm gonna lock it down.
He's awesome.
Well, it's not going to get any less controversial, because now we're about to talk about Brown University in Rhode Island. Hey guys, did you know how extremely left-leaning, blue, crazy ideologically aligned Rhode Island is? I had no idea. I did. Because you're working.
I definitely did.
Somebody running for office.
Well, I mean, I've been working with people in Rhode Island for quite some time now with parental rights with Ramona Bessinger. We had her on our show.
Right.
And a couple of others actually that are in Rhode Island, and it's insane. And then when you actually go there and you start speaking to people and you see how completely deflated and emasculated they are, and how under oppression that they are because of the types of people they have put into government, it completely blows your mind. And being from Florida and knowing the fights that we fight here in Florida, and I'm like bracing for impact with you guys in Rhode Island. I'm like, how is this possible? Do I need to move to? I'm not moving to Rhode Island.
No, there's snow there. I will not. I love you, but I will not move to Rhode Island. Well, and so we had
fighters, man.
A few weeks ago, we had people from, you would argue, maybe independent journalists that came here from Rhode Island to sit and watch our show in real time. And every once in a while, I'd look at their faces and they were like, I can't believe they just said that. But we're trying to spread that courage that says, what are they going to, I'm not going to ask what are they going to do. But largely, it's your voice. It's your voice.
Bro.
And you have to think. But you have to think.
Just throw my phone away.
And this is the thing. I've had this conversation over the weekend with many people too. There's two things you're not going to take away from me. Okay, right. And I don't care what you threaten. I'm sorry. I refuse to live on this earth without being able to have my voice and being able to express it the way I choose. And number two, to have a heart that's open and willing to love. You'll never knock me off of those two things. I don't care what you try to do. I don't care how you hurt me. I don't care how you come at me. I don't care how the enemy tries to come and strike me. You'll never take those two things away from us. So if you believe in that out there watching this, and you can't fear. It's like the woman that was at the Gulf of America in Panama City Beach, Allie, and she's holding the sign. And we go over to her. We're like, we're so proud of you for taking a picture of you. And she's like, I'm from Ohio, and I have to be careful. You know how? Because in Ohio, think about it. She's like, I have to work. My kids have to go to school. I have to be careful how I word this on Facebook. And it really makes you realize, ma'am, I just want to give you a little bit of courage today that is your voice and that is your opinion. And you are 1,000% entitled to post that. And you might even trigger somebody else to think. You just might. Because without those two things, our love and our voice, what are we here for?
Exactly.
Like, really?
You got to use
I'm
it.
sorry.
I think Michelle had some pre-workout with her coffee.
Michelle's had a come to Jesus week, okay? It's been. I'm not
Girl,
gonna.
I feel you. I know.
I know that you know.
I know, sis. What are we doing? We ride it on?
Okay.
I got matches.
We're moving on.
Allegedly.
So the FBI has just released a video of the Brown University suspect casually walking apparently by law enforcement. This is about 30 minutes after.
Oh, like the pipe bomber who like waved at him as like they were driving by.
I mean, bringing him donuts. I don't know. Take a look at this video. I don't think there's any sound, so let's just take a look at it. And I'm not sure. I apologize. When I looked at this, I was like, where is that him? Because I thought he was in a black jacket.
No, that's not him.
Okay, well they're circling something down there by the police car.
Yeah,
so let me see.
That's the person.
Let's see if we can, Krista, can we fast forward to, as much as I hate to, the CNN clip that we have? Because I think that actually has the legitimate clip. Let's see. Ooh.
I think he's trying to find.
That's okay. It's the one from townhall.com.
But while we're waiting, Jack Smith is now in Capitol Hill, headed to a, I guess, closed door testifying situation. He's going to give testimony to Congress.
It's not honest to do things behind closed doors. Can we just make honesty great?
Why is it behind closed doors? Like we have the ability to censor live. So if there's anything that he's going to say or has said or will say or any question that is classified, right? Like, how is any of it classified if he's specifically going to talk about his crimes and corruption? Like, what do you mean? Like, it should not be classified at this point. The American people need to know what's going on. None of it should be behind bars.
Sorry, thank you, Laura Hartman. Without our love and our voice, what are we here for?
None of it should
Nurse Laura.
I love her. She's great. None of it should be behind closed doors, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely,
Y'all know what I'm trying to say. First,
I do,
so two things. I want to give congratulations to Laura Loomer. She has
we're
been
gonna get to
recently
that later.
engaged.
We're going to get to that later.
I was just excited. I love this. And then
Does it make you
Don
believe in love
Jr.
again?
And like his smile standing next to her.
Does it make you believe in love again, Allie?
I love
Does it?
Huh?
Does it make you believe in love again?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not there yet. All right. So this is the Brown University president. President
so
speaks.
Romantic. Why is Christmas so romantic?
I'm trying to get back on the rails. Yes, we'll go ahead. Yes.
The Walz, do you believe that Brown had the precautions and safety measures in place before the shooting that were appropriate and necessary?
I do. And in fact, I'm glad you mentioned the sirens because I think there's been some misinformation about that. We have two security systems that we can activate in a time of an emergency. One is a system that sends out text messages, phone calls, emails, and it was activated within minutes of the incident. Those messages went out to 20,000 individuals, so all alerts. We also have a system of sirens. There are 3 sirens placed across campus. Those get activated when there is a broad-scale emergency and we want people to rush into buildings. In the case of an active shooter, activating that system could have caused people to rush into Barris and Hawley. So that's not a system that we would ever use in the case of an active shooter.
Krista.
So
they're talking about utilization. Of course, they couldn't lock the doors, but things that they have that they've spent a lot of money on at Brown University, which you should check out how much of the money coming into Brown University is from foreign countries, Muslim-leaning, Islamic-leaning countries. But she's saying we had this siren, this Brown siren that would go off. It was meant to, but not for an active shooter because that doesn't make any sense. Put the brakes on, pump the brakes. If you go to brown.edu/emergency/Brown siren, here's what you will see. I think we've got a clip of it here, a little screenshot. What does it say there that it's used for, the number 1 red dot there?
Hostile, intruder, or active shooter. Okay? Eso, Brown.
So it wasn't utilized. I don't want a text message, just a text message when there's shots ringing out. I mean, I would like a text message, but something. You know what a siren would do to somebody who's shooting? It disorients them. It makes people aware of their surroundings. I'm reading reports that it took nearly 15 to 20 minutes for first responders to get there. Law enforcement, I love the blue. But can we just ask the question? What is there? Because we asked this question in Florida. We have panels that meet and roundtables that meet to try to bridge the gap between what's happening live on school campuses and how we get that information to first responders. Because what we found in the Parkland shooting is the same thing. We weren't working cohesively. So what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What's happening? Why are we not having these conversations in 2025 on every single campus? How much money do you pay to send your children to Brown University? And they can't lock the door, they can't blast a siren, and they can't have an effective communication with first responders? You're going in debt for your children's education so that their lives can be struck from away from them. This is crazy.
All I'm going to say is safe evac.
Yes.
I'm going to work on getting the CEO and creator of Safe Evac on our show so he can actually explain what Safe Evac does and how it can be utilized in every emergency situation. It doesn't cost any extra money, and it actually helps our law enforcement and our first responders and people that are on the ground in the school communicate.
Yeah.
In real time. It helps people navigate which areas are safe within the building because everybody's communicating, and it utilizes the cameras and the exit signs. It is genius the way that this works. Why this has not been put out in front of everybody, I don't know. Safe Evac has done demonstrations. They're helping out in, I think, Uvalde, Texas. Because they were essentially really created and utilized here in Texas. Not here in Texas, but in Texas. And so I think that's something that needs to happen. But also, we used to fortify castles with, like, people on the roofs. There were wars that were started by words and women. Why are we not doing the same thing with our schools? Why are there not more than one resource officer? And what the hell is a resource? I don't want someone to go and hand me pamphlets. Like, that's resources. I want someone who is armed and armed security. Why are we not utilizing local security companies to arm or protect our schools? This is not rocket science. And we can literally put people in a rocket and shoot them out into space, but we can't figure out how the hell to protect our kids on campus?
Well, and here in the state of Florida, Allie, they do have a program called the Guardian Program where they give state resources. I mean, when we talk about smart uses of your hard-earned tax dollars, they give resources to school districts to go above and beyond whatever their school police protocol are, and that's to have people, whether they're former veterans, former police officers, to be able to do exactly that. I don't know that every school district utilizes it the way we'd like, but I don't know why, like you said, I don't know why other states aren't doing that, and especially these colleges. I don't know how you feel about this, Allie, but when somebody stands at a podium for a press conference and tries to say, don't worry about it, we've got everything under control, it's not making me feel all warm and fuzzy. Take a listen to part of this press conference. This is the Attorney General in Rhode Island, Peter Narora, talking about this. They've got this person of interest that people on social media largely are saying, hey, this person has radical ties, looks a lot like this video you put out, maybe take a look at it. He doesn't like this. Take a look.
Question about that name, and I know the name that you're asking about because a member of the media asked me about it. I am familiar with it. I wasn't familiar with it when the media member asked me about it. I think it was either CBS or NBC. I asked my team about it, and I think this is an area where caution is really necessary. There are lots of reasons why a page might be taken down, particularly if there's chatter out there about, to your question, Amanda, about words that were spoken. It's easy to jump from someone saying words that were spoken to what those words are, to a particular name that reflects a motive targeting a particular person. That's a really dangerous road to go down. Really dangerous. If that name meant anything to this investigation, we would be out looking for that person. We would let you know we were looking for that person. You know, again, I think it's just a really dangerous road to go down. I know that in today's age, there are lots of things that people read into things. It's just a dangerous thing to do. And I would leave it to us to identify persons of interest and let us run them down. What the public can do for us today is help us figure out who this guy is. And we hope to have more information out that will help you do that, help us do that. You have a
Hold up, wait. So he said, leave it to us to figure out who the suspect is, but then what the public can do is help us figure out who this guy is. Which one do you want?
And this is not people reaching for straws here. Take a look at what was scrubbed. Again, we have been trying for decades to try to get child porn taken off of the internet. People that commit suicide live on social media. You have to jump through so many hoops to get that kind of crap taken down. But in less than 24 hours, Brown University, the same people that couldn't lock the frickin' door and get police there on time, scrubbed the entire page of this. Take a look. It says page not found anymore, but this is, I'm not going to even read the person's name, but largely is recognized as an activist for the Center for Middle East Studies right there in Brown University. All people were saying is, listen, this person, first of all, you see the Palestinian attire there. How the hell? What the hell? I mean, really? Like, they're the ones that want to annihilate Israel. You know how many Jewish people that should, if my red hat offends you, that scarf doesn't offend you? So it makes right? It makes you wonder, though, like, then people are going, look at the gait. Look at how they're walking. It looks similar height. Maybe we should, doing exactly what that attorney general just said they needed help from the public. But don't do it. Let us handle it. You know why? Because this is now in the day and age of this is how people are getting to the bottom of things. But it doesn't let you run whatever narrative you might want to run. If they would just admit that the questioning of this being taken down off of the Brown University website, along with the questioning of why somebody with a Palestinian attire like that, claiming it to be an activist of Palestinian ideology on a campus, now knowing that targets of this shooting were both Jewish and conservative, and then realizing that there's a video out there we have to figure out, that is the investigation.
Right.
Don't ask people to not do their due diligence to help you, and then ask them to help you.
And then I think it's quite interesting that you have, internet sleuths or independent journalists who are actually finding out more information than the police officers that we're so tired of looking for this suspect, we're going to go eat pizza. Like, you should be exhausted trying to find this person.
If it wasn't for the fact that the Boston Marathon bomber was injured and bleeding while hiding in that boat in someone's backyard, we were very close to not having answers. We were very close. And they did go on a string to injure and even murder a campus security officer in the meantime. And if you watch, again, that Mark Wahlberg movie, if you watch it, they're very clear about telling the story of the fight they were having between whether or not to release the sketches, whether or not to release the video. And everybody pretty much came out of that as saying, we should have done it sooner. We should have released it sooner. Why? Because you and I are big boys and girls, and we need to be made aware. But Allie, I know we have to cruise because we're going to go to a commercial break. Two things I want to hit real quick. Bellevue police officer in Washington State, there was a fake 911 call.
Yep.
Officer responded and was stabbed by a Muslim man, Mohammed. I'm not even going to say his whole name. Let's take a quick listen here.
We are following some breaking news out of Bellevue right now. A man is now charged with stabbing a police officer before another officer shot him. This happened at the Bellevue Transit Station, you'll recall, on Friday. Court documents say that Mohammed Bangura made a false 911 call about domestic violence to lure officers there. Police say that he slashed an officer's face with a knife and then stabbed him twice in the back. And that's when police say another officer shot Bangura. Both were taken to the hospital.
We can bring it back.
And both are
expected to recover. So take that with your gun control laws, because they used a knife. They've used cars. They've used knives. If you're not familiar with radical Islamification,
David killed
they
a
used
giant
stones.
with a rock, and so did Cain. Like, it's not about the weapon. It's about the heart posture, y'all.
Before we go to commercial break, Allie, because we're way behind, I know, just want to let everybody know that Trump has said, we don't have time for the whole video, he wants to look at Nancy Pelosi. He wants to look at her books and a full investigation in her perfectly timed stock trades. She went on to say, it's not me, it's my husband, because that's what every really good married couple do. Say, it's not me, it's her. It's not me, it's him. It's not going to work, Nancy.
I was like, that's Adam. The wife you gave me, it's her fault.
Don't get me started on that. Oh, gosh. We'll be right back with more Open Mic after this quick break.
From the heart of Marietta, Georgia, comes a tribute to the spirit of liberty. Liberty Cigars, where history meets craftsmanship. Each cigar tells a story. The Founders Collection honors the visionaries who shaped a nation. The President's House Collection celebrates the leaders who steered it. And the Naval Series salutes the heroes who defended it. Handcrafted with precision, each blend mirrors the essence of its namesake. From the boldness of George Washington to the elegance of Thomas Jefferson. Indulge in a moment of reflection. Light a Liberty cigar and savor the legacy. Discover your story at libertycigars.com because every great nation deserves a great cigar. Liberty Cigars, smoke the history. And don't forget to use promo code OpenMic for 10% off your order.
Welcome back to Open Mic, where we are like rapid fire today because there's just so much. And as we were preparing for this, Allie, I'm like, what are we going to leave out?
Look, if we leave anything out, look, we might, I don't know, maybe I'll do a space later or I'll talk about something. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, Allie, I hate to say that maybe somewhere in a far, far land, maybe like Speaker Mike Johnson or whoever might have like just tuned into Open Mic, ladies, for like a second and heard something and then went, you know what? Those ladies aren't going to shut up until we do something about it. Because take a listen to what Speaker Johnson said about the executive orders and being codified in the new year. I hope he does it. Take a look.
Very aggressive legislative agenda coming right out of the gates in January. We're going to continue to work, for example, on health care to continue to bring costs down for the American people, to bring down the cost of living overall. You're going to see an aggressive affordability agenda, and we're going to see continued codification of the president's executive orders. He's up to about 200 of those. Probably about 150 of them are codifiable by Congress, and we're working steadily through that list. You're going to see us delivering for the American people while the effects of that giant piece of legislation that we did on July 4th, got signed on July 4th, comes into implementation. So much more
we can bring it back.
Yet to do. And the president and I talk about
150 are codifiable. I didn't know that was a word. Let me write that down. Codifiable.
Okay, so and I'm going to need every governor who is in a red state and every legislature and every candidate that is running for any of these elected positions to understand that they cannot just be codified on the federal level. They also need to be codified on the state level, however they can be. And that is something that you can also run on.
Well, and
if you need help with strategy, you can contact me and I will help you out.
Yeah, that's right, guys. If you reach out to contact@openmicladies.com, just put in the subject that for Allie, ALY. We'll make sure it gets to her. But this is absolutely true. And actually, DeSantis has done a great job of this in the state of Florida. When something breaks the news cycle, and I'm not going to say he doesn't have access to it before it does, but as soon as it raises above that radar, it's like he's got somebody on it to say, okay, what are we going to do about this in Florida? That way, largely, I mean, like it or not, whether you want to see him in the White House or not, that makes you something that you're able to run on. You know, I took I saw what was coming down the pike and I acted on it. And that's what we've got to do, whether you want to run for governor again or any other office. Somebody who's not, I think he's seeing his last days in office, I'm hoping. The Trump administration has come out and formally demanding the resignation of Tampon Tim, the Minnesota governor. Take a look at this. Due to massive fraud and dereliction of duty, Linda McMahon, the Department of Education director, caught Minnesota engaging in massive education fraud where ghost students received millions of taxpayer dollars and pocketed the cash.
What the hell is a ghost student?
I don't know.
Is that like a ghost gun?
I'm pretty sure they grew up to vote Democrat, though.
Like, what the heck? Oh,
them and the dead grew up to vote Democrat. That's all I'm saying. Tim,
God bless it. Yes,
you
resign.
You might want to take you and Nancy Pants Pelosi and just like find an island because it's not going to be pretty coming out of this. And if you don't
Not an
believe me,
island. They need to go on the new Alcatraz. Can we just refurbish that and just
yes,
throw
we were.
all
I
these
thought they were
political criminals away?
And
So
you
a
know
lot
what?
of people were saying
Ooh.
that they may not refurbish Alcatraz because it's going to cost an astronomical amount of money. But when you have President Trump, who's a billionaire, and you have Elon Musk, who's a trillionaire, and other philanthropists that want to see these corrupt politicians locked away for the rest of their lives, I really think that there's no amount of money that will be spared.
I have the answer. I have the answer. Are you ready, Trump administration?
Can we send them to Nicaragua?
You put all of these corrupt politicians in Alcatraz. Then you get ferry boats to do tours, and you charge America First people who would love to see it, almost like a zoo, right? And you just you sell tickets, and I would go instead of Disney. Are you kidding me? I would go to Alcatraz and I would take a tour. And where it's like, don't feed the Democrats, that don't feed the bears. I think it could be a fundraiser, is what I'm saying.
I see. I hear what you're saying, but you can't allow them to communicate because then they'll figure out a way how to get out.
That's true. Well, then let's put sharks around the water, or in that Jaws, whatever. It's not just us, thankfully, that are reporting on this. Fox News did a great report. I will tell them when they do it well. Of following the money. Take a look at this.
Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud. Held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House oversight investigation role in his role as governor, or Keith Ellison, the attorney general. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire theft ring.
Where is the AG?
He's in on it.
Oh my Lord.
That's what he's saying. He's like, listen, it's your job.
I know. I was listening. Been paying attention. You're the attorney.
You're asking the question that needs to be asked. You are asking the question that needs to be asked.
What is the proper role of the Federal Department of Justice, if not to handle a state attorney general who is participating in crimes? Isn't that something that the national attorney general the federal attorney general would have to go after, in order to prosecute? Isn't that something that they can do? Is your plate too full? Do we not have a deputy DOJ?
Well, Harmeet Dillon is the assistant attorney general, and I'm just saying
she's also doing civics, the civil rights aspect of all the things. So
good segue. Good segue.
You're welcome.
Because
is anybody else frustrated by this? Anyone?
We are. Allie,
just little old Latina Allie. Just
Well, Allie, you asked.
I'm mad when I start speaking in Spanish. I've been Spanglish for the last week.
Fortunately, I understand fluent, angry Spanish because I grew up in that. But you mentioned civil rights and you mentioned, investigations. So, and asking the question. So here we have, guys, we're going to pivot a little bit to, those people that tried to tell you had to inject something in your body. You were forced to do it. You largely lost your job and were threatened and coerced if you didn't. You got no informed consent because the inserts were blank. Plus, a lot of you ended up becoming injured. But now they're telling you that not only was it, they thought it was safe and effective, but you can't sue the manufacturer. So somebody's actually, this is civil rights attorney Aaron Siri. Hey, Siri. Everybody's phone just lit up. He asks the obvious questions. If vaccines are safe, why do they require legal immunity? Let's take a listen.
Right.
Congress made it a $500 penalty if you call somebody's cell phone to market to them. That was the worst crime in the world. But yet, if your child is or injured by a vaccine, you can never sue the company that did that on the basis they could have made the product safer. If vaccines are so safe, why do they need immunity?
Well, yeah, that's the most obvious question of all.
Do they still need it 5 years after they've been on the market? You still don't know? How about 10 years? 15? How many years do you need to know it's safe before you can lift the immunity? You have to be a fool to not understand that. Why would a product need immunity for the injuries that it causes if it doesn't cause injuries? Come on.
Right. It only makes sense if you don't think about it. It only makes sense if you don't think about it. Listen, because, and I made this a post, and I really wish I would have said this at the Florida Department of Health, but the next time they do a live event, I'm going to speak, and this is the only thing I'm going to say. Since these products have not been double-blind, randomized, placebo tested, and they are coerced onto the American people without informed consent, we have become, those that have participated in this product have been a part of an experiment that we didn't know we were a part of. And because the pharmaceutical companies are the ones that are conducting the experiment, when are you going to take a listen to the ones that are actually giving you real life understanding of what is happening? That is how you do a scientific experiment. You create a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis. We are the test subjects, and we're telling you what is wrong.
And Allie, we had somebody, I don't know if you heard it, I know it was broadcast live, I can find the soundbite, but we had somebody that spoke on behalf of the medical community at the Department of Health, Florida Department of Health meeting, and she said exactly that. She said, all of you people that are so, you didn't want to get it, you are the placebo.
Right.
Did you tell people that when you were feeding them tacos in a food line in California to get the injection?
And this is why we need Nuremberg 2.0, because you cannot be a part of an experiment without consent. Those that refuse to take it are the control subjects. Compare that with the control, and compare that with those who have participated, who are experiencing real-time adverse reactions to the product that you have fast-tracked.
Yeah.
And pre-authorization.
Well, Allie, yeah, absolutely. We are dwindling on time, and we have such a heavy agenda to get to. I just want to make sure, we probably won't play the videos, but I want to make sure everybody understands that that Congress is voting on on abolishing the Unaffordable Care Act, I guess you could call it. It's basically Obamacare. They're wanting to get rid of that. Obviously, that is protection for you, the American people. So keep it locked to Open Mic Ladies to update you on that. We want to make sure that you also know that the FBI did release documentation that says they did not find probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago, that's Trump's residence, but the prosecutors did it anyway. So again, this is each one of these things, guys. We could take 30 minutes on because it's infuriating. But I just want to kind of graze over it a little bit. One other important note is that the House the other day, Allie, you shared this with me, passed the Kayla Hamilton Act. What that does is it bans illegal unaccompanied alien children. So we know, we're dealing with illegal immigration, but what about the children that are not accompanied that come across this border? It bans those children from being released into our communities, which I think largely creates an issue with Department of Children and Families and our foster care system, because I think that's largely where they go. So thank you to that. I want to just fast forward to this next piece.
201 Democrats voted against it.
Tell me you're insane without telling me you're a Democrat. You mentioned Laura Loomer. We've got a couple things I want to get to. First is Mark Kelly, the seditious six, one of the seditious six. Remember those people that were trying to get to stir up dissent within our military? Laura Loomer has actually, she was at the White House. She asks the question that everybody's asking about the follow-up. Take a listen.
To Mark Kelly, Senator Mark Kelly, and whether or not we can expect to see him get court-martialed. Is there anything you can say publicly about the investigation into Senator Mark Kelly and whether or not he's going to be held accountable for, encouraging members of the armed services to disobey the commander-in-chief?
Sure. So the actual inquiry has been referred to the Navy. I'm not a part of it. And so they are going through it to see what options that they're going to present. there's a range of options here. I mean, everybody's focusing on the possibility of a court martial, but there's a whole bunch of things that they can do. They could do administrative remedies. They could give him a letter of reprimand. They could actually take one of his ranks away in retirement and lower his pension. And ultimately what they're going to do is they're going to look at the feasibility of these different things. And so if you look at what he did, and they try to say, if you look at this video, all we did was state the law. Okay, there are two problems with that. One, they misstated the law. The law is not that you have duty to disobey unlawful orders, manifestly unlawful orders, orders that are clearly illegal to everybody who hears them. So they lowered the standard first. Two, they didn't define what the unlawful orders they were talking about were. But if you instead take that video in the context of all of the other rhetoric, where they're talking about National Guard deployments are unlawful, Venezuelan boat strikes are unlawful, all of the other rhetoric, and you take those two together, then you say, okay, now what they're asking people to do is to not go to the National Guard deployments, to not execute Venezuelan boat strike orders. And that's the problem right there, is that those orders are lawful. Now, they can argue and they can say, oh, we think that order is unlawful. And if you have a dispute where some people think it's lawful, some people think it's unlawful, that means it's not manifestly unlawful.
Right.
Deploy to Chicago with the National Guard. Presumed lawful. Shoot that protester in the head. Manifestly unlawful. Don't do that. And that's really the difference, is that they've put it in.
So you've misrepresented the law.
Yeah, and I think they should drop his rank down to a private and then kick him out.
Because that
E1
really squeezes them where it hurts, and I'm not talking about there, I'm talking about the pension.
E1. Drop him all the way down to an E1 and then kick him out. That's how petty I would be. That's my 50 Cent. And I actually don't even think 50 Cent is being petty, to be honest with you. And the people that are saying that are misunderstanding what 50 Cent is doing. The reason why 50 Cent is putting out this documentary is because he's saying this is not acceptable in this industry. Those that are quiet about what is happening, your silence is acceptance. And this kind of behavior is not acceptable in this industry. And that is why he's putting that out. So if I were Pete Hegseth, I would put on my 50 Cent music, Many Men, and I would drop that fool down to an E1 and then kick him out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
F around and find out.
And find out, for real. I would love. We'll show our JD Vance clip next tomorrow, because he was like almost like stand-up comedy. It was pretty amazing.
So good. I loved it. It was great.
We talk about how much we love Laura Loomer, and because they call it being loomered when she exposes something. But Laura Loomer largely got loomered by President Trump as he announces her engagement. Before she announces it, take a look.
We have a very beautiful young woman, very low-key, not controversial at all, Laura Loomer. And where's Laura? Where's your boyfriend? You're getting married. There's another couple that are getting married. When are you getting married?
We don't know yet. We haven't announced it. So you're the first one. Yes, you're the first one.
We can bring it back, Krista.
I don't think there's a better way to announce your engagement to the whole world than President Trump.
My next engagement.
He did it for her instead of them doing it themselves. He just completely announced. I think this is what I love the most about Christmas, is one, that it really is extremely romantic, and I don't know why. I just think it's the magic of this season. You're engulfed in this hope and this love that Christ, has been like all these things, right? So I love it, and I'm happy for her. And congratulations, Laura. I wish you so many years of love and joy. And if you ever need someone to talk to about that, you can always hit up your girls at Open Mic.
We still have love in our heart. We do. We really do. Congratulations. And I think now that's the new bar, Mr. President Trump.
Babies. That's all I'm going to say.
President Trump, you've just set a precedent. So all of the independent journalist women would like, whenever that day arises that we get married or whatever, again, we're going to expect this. You've just set the precedence. So... All right, guys, that's it for the Open Mic ladies here today. Make sure you join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, right back here. Thank you to Patriot TV and all of our followers. We love you guys. Keep that mic open, right, Ellie?
Love y'all. Bye.
High.